Okay, so let's get started. I think we've just waited a few minutes there. So good morning, everyone. My name is David Nolan, and I'm a Cloud Solutions Architect here at Ingram Micro. And I want to take you through a sort of 10 or 15-minute presentation today on running Windows workloads on AWS, and we'll go through that in a bit more detail. Bear with me. Okay, so the agenda for today's presentation is I want to talk a little bit about Windows migration trends, and that's really about what people are moving in terms of Windows workloads into AWS, why people would use AWS for Windows, and there's a few common misconceptions which we'll try to clear up there, and then also the sort of tools that people are using to migrate those workloads into AWS. So let's get started. So a study done by IDC recently found that 49% of Windows workloads will be in the public cloud by 2023. And they also found that 49% of business applications and 46% of data management workloads will be in the public cloud. So as you can see, there's a really kind of onward trend for more and more workloads to be moved into the public cloud. Here are some of the sort of questions that we get asked a lot from our partners, and also, customers are our partners. So, some of these are just, sort of how do I get started? If it's a Windows workload, shouldn't I consider Azure first? That's a common one that we hear a lot. And hopefully over the next few slides, I'll be able to kind of show you some of the key reasons why running Windows workloads in AWS is a great idea. And also, how does Microsoft licensing work, right? So that can be quite complex sometimes, and there are a number of tools within AWS to help you manage and optimize that. So why Windows on AWS? Here are some of the top level reasons, and I won't read through all of these on the slide, but what I'd like to do is just kind of show you this on screen and then kind of take you through each of these areas in a little bit more detail. So firstly, breadth and depth. So AWS supports the full Windows stack, whether you're running workloads like Visual Studio, Active Directory, or you could be running SQL, or just ordinary Windows Server operating system. AWS supports all of that. And it also offers the first and only fully managed Windows file service. So that's Amazon FSx, which is built on Windows and integrates with Active Directory. So reliability and security is another key area. So the next largest cloud provider had 5 times more downtime hours than AWS in 2020. And you can see here we've got a map of all of the different regions and availability zones across the world. And on average, there are 2 times more regions with multi-AZs. That's the key there. But also in terms of the security piece, there's 281 security, compliance and governance checks, which is 58 more times a year. So better performance. So again, our friends at IDC did a study recently, and they found running SQL Server specifically, you could do that on AWS with twice the amount of performance at 62% lower cost, which is really great news. And there are some sources which I can kind of send you after this session if you'd like to look at that in a bit more detail. Cost of ownership. Cost of ownership is a key driver for anyone looking to spend money on IT more generally. And again, IDC have found that on average, customers can realize a 442% return on investment over 5 years when they bring their Windows workloads to AWS. There are some additional tools once you're in AWS to help you kind of move forward and run those workloads. So there's the optimization and licensing assessment to help you optimize your licensing footprint. And then in terms of managing the costs, and there's the Trusted Advisor, the Compute Optimizer, and also the AWS Cost Explorer, which is something our customers use lots just to kind of get a really good understanding of what they're spending, in the short to medium and long term. So innovation and experience. So what this slide really aims to demonstrate is, right the way from 2008 through to today, you can see over the course of time how many services have been added to AWS for Windows, but also how that pace has only increased over time, and it continues to increase. So flexible licensing, you've got a couple of options essentially. So you can bring your own licenses to AWS, and that would kind of depend on the sort of licensing agreement you've got with Microsoft. You can also buy EC2 instances with licenses included, so you pay nothing up front and you just pay as you go. And then also you can use the AWS License Manager going forward to just manage all of that usage. So what tools are people using to migrate their Windows workloads into AWS? So there's a lot of information on this slide. We'll start on the left-hand side. From the assess point of view, you've got the Cloud Adoption Readiness tool, which helps you understand, whether you're ready to move. The Migration Portfolio Assessment is something that we see our customers use a lot, just to get an understanding of exactly what you've got and what that would look like. And then as we move forward into the sort of planning stage, you can leverage the Migration Portfolio Assessment as well. But you've also got the Application Discovery Service, things like Control Tower for managing landing zones and just general continuity in terms of how you're setting things up, and also the Migration Hub. Finally, the migration and modernize piece. So you can run Windows workloads just on EC2 instances, and you can leverage things like the Amazon Elastic Block Store and things like savings plans to really drive that cost down. In terms of managing those workloads, you can use the Fleet Manager and also the Image Builder to manage your Amazon scene images, and then also Amazon CloudWatch for general monitoring. All of these things kind of integrate with other AWS services. So I touched on the Amazon FSx service, but you've also got the managed database offering with RDS. You've got EKS, the Elastic Kubernetes service, which really brings me on to the final piece, right? In terms of modernizing those workloads and moving them from sort of monolithic architectures into containerization. So once you've moved into AWS, you'll want to use things like the Image Builder to build all of your images and kind of create some continuity there. You can also use the Launch Wizard to deploy and configure your applications, and then also CloudWatch to monitor all of the different bits and pieces that you've got running in AWS, and then the Systems Manager to manage and troubleshoot your fleet of servers. So here are a few things that you can leverage with Ingram Micro and AWS to help you move those Windows workloads. So there's the end of support migration program, which is really aimed at helping customers move into AWS when they're at end of support to get some continuity and carry on getting support for those servers. The optimization and licensing assessment, which helps you understand how to optimize your environment and licensing once you've moved to the cloud. And then the migration acceleration program, and there are a few others as well, and I'd encourage you to speak to either myself or the sales team to understand the full breadth of sort of funding programs that are available to you in order to drive forward customer opportunities and also close deals. So this slide here is really about demonstrating that, on the bottom axis, you've got on-premises through to cloud native optimized. And as you move from on-premises over to all the way on the right-hand side, you've got containers and serverless and things like that. You'll see that with the blue line, the pace of innovation only increases, because that just enables your teams to essentially, work more efficiently and therefore, be more agile and get the sort of business outcomes that you're looking for a lot faster. So finally, just moving on to a few customer examples. So a few little fun facts here. So Netflix is obviously a big customer that sort of is working on AWS. On an average Friday night in the US at peak, they can consume 1/3 of US internet bandwidth, which is staggering really. And you'll see some other recognizable brands on here that I'm sure some of you have used before that are also running in there, right? Here are some additional ones as well. This is just really aimed at kind of giving you and your customers confidence. I'm sure you're aware already that lots of big companies use AWS. So call to action, 4 things here. So firstly, I'd encourage you all to take the AWS migration training online or in person. Secondly, build your Windows migration use case using the optimization and licensing assessment. Establish some early wins and use things like Cloud Endure to migrate those first workloads. And then finally, move the conversation forward with your customer and look at ways of modernizing those workloads into things like Amazon ECS, EKS, and just kind of general containerization. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation, guys. Thank you for joining today. Of course, if you've got any questions, I'd invite you all to speak up now and ask if you've got anything. Otherwise, thank you for joining.